Humiliated after being told she was not allowed to board a New Zealand airline. Her name is Jade O'Connell. She's 19, was meant to fly to from Dunedin to Wellington to attend a camp, Twitch, which is a camp about people with Tourette's. Now, she got to the airport on the Monday with her mum, and the pair were told Jade wasn't going to be able to fly because of issues on a previous flight. She then missed the first day of camp. Well, let's talk to that bloody troublesome teen, Jade O'Connell, all the way from New Zealand. Hello.
Thank you. Hi.
Hey, Jade, first and foremost, great to have you on because you are a bloody online superstar. You've got like 20 times the followers that Angus and I have on TikTok. So, Jade, for people that don't know your story, can you just give a bit of background about yourself, what you love doing, and also a little bit about your disability?
Wow. Well, yeah, I joined TikTok this year and just started doing baking and activities with my Tourette's. And it blew up and a lot's changed since then. So
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I only got diagnosed with Tourette's this year, actually.
Oh, wow.
What, really?
I had no idea about that.
Okay, so how does that come about?
I've probably had tics since I was about 14, but they didn't develop like this until last year. So yeah, I've only had them really bad for just over a year.
What was the first kind of tics that you started getting when you were 14?
Wow. I had these blinking tics, so I'd sit here and squint my eyes like that all the time. That was the first tic I ever had, and I had like the occasional neck twitch, but
yeah, that one seems to be quite common, the neck twitch.
Yeah, because it's quite a common thing. Like everyone has a wee twitch every now and again.
Yep.
And if people missed our previous episode where we talked to Ryan, who had Tourette's, can you just explain what a tic is, like what the feeling that you get, and I guess the science or background behind it?
Well, Tourette's is just involuntary like movement sounds. So tics are those sounds and movements. It's hard to explain what they feel like. It's almost like just an urge that you have to do something. Like I have to yell bitch right now, otherwise I'm gonna explode.
Yeah, is it kind of like might be a bad example, and I might have used this with Ryan as well, but is it like trying to stop a sneeze, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I've always kind of described it as holding your breath. Like you can suppress it for a bit, but you eventually have to do it.
Take a breath. Yeah,
like, you can't take it away, but you can hold it back for a bit. So that's how I sometimes get myself out of dangerous situations. Like I'll hold it in, I'll step aside, let it out, kind of thing.
So obviously this won't be censored. Your voice will be your own on this podcast. For anybody with kids in the car that maybe don't want to explain swearing, then you feel free to turn off. But your story is so interesting, and obviously we're not going to change your voice as it is. So let's talk about TikTok. So you developed tics at 14. You got diagnosed this year, and you already had the confidence within yourself to be able to be so out there with your Tourette's. That's such a quick, incredible transformation and confidence within yourself. How did you come to that space?
I think because I struggled a lot last year. Last year was because I started getting tics around the start of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like developing more beyond just the blinking tic and stuff. So it was hard to cope with that because I didn't know what was happening really.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think this year I had a big turn with my mental health and just everything. So it helped a lot with my confidence and once I started realizing that it was helping other people, it helped I think me be a lot more confident as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like,
I think.
Oh, okay. Actually,
well, that's something that I loved. I loved growing up is seeing I'm in a wheelchair, seeing people that were like me. You know what I mean? Jade was really helpful. So you're helping a lot of kids. Do you reckon it was also meant to be that the fact that the word tick is in the name TikTok?
I get a lot of people make that joke, like, "Oh, you put the tick in TikTok."
You do. You're a bloody superstar. I love it.
That's a very common joke I hear.
So, there's a big difference though with social media. For example, I've got a quite public social media. So does Dylan. So do you. My girlfriend prefers to have a private account. She likes to keep her social media to her family and friends. With you. Yeah, but with you probably, you could never have expected 1 million people to follow you on TikTok. Does it make you more or less self-confident and self-aware about what you're doing? Do you feel that your content has changed now that you have more people come to your platform?
I don't know, because I think before this TikTok thing, I was the sort of person that would never post on social media. Like, I had probably 5 posts before I started on Instagram before I started TikTok and all that. Like I never. So it's quite weird exposing myself to everyone like this a lot. It's odd. I don't know.
Because you're also opening yourself
Bitch.
up to trolls. I'm sure amongst the million people who love your videos, and you know what? Also are learning about Tourette's through your videos, which, apart from being hilarious, are actually educational within themselves. We've watched them all. But how are you dealing with people who are now getting on the keyboard in different countries and saying nasty things?
It doesn't really bother me too much. Like I knew getting into this that there was going to be hate. Like there's hate for anyone. Everyone on the internet knows that. So there's the positive comments outweigh the negative ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Like,
What
really into one.
What do you
So
say? What do you say to young people that have Tourette's? Because I know when I was a youngster with a disability, it was bloody hard to come to terms and understand what your body was doing, but also the negative perceptions that you get. What do you say to them?
Fuck. I think it's just definitely don't hide it. I think that's what I struggled with at first, was hiding away and kind of letting it take over your life a bit. But I think it's just learning to take control of that and embracing it and be like, okay, this isn't something you need to be embarrassed of or hide. Like it's perfectly normal, like everyone else.
Your tics, we can see straight away and here, are different to Ryan's. So what are your tics in particular? What are the kind of more ones that you are getting the most?
Well, I've got coprolalia, so that's why I swear a lot and say a lot of that. So that's a lot of my vocal tics is swearing and making random noises and whistling. And just I get a lot of movement in my neck and my head, my shoulders. That's I think where most of my movement is. And my hands. Yeah, fuck, but that's I'd say most of my tics.
Yeah.
Usually from day to day.
Ryan's worst tic of all time was he went to reach out to pull a hijab off a lady who was walking her child in the park. Obviously, it's involuntary.
He told me about it.
Yeah, he told you about that. You guys have been in contact. What's yours? What's one that you look back on? You're like, oh.
Racial slurs, not good.
Yeah,
that was especially bad when it got really bad after the quarantine because COVID was a thing, and the Black Lives Matter thing had been happening a lot at that point. So everyone was focused on it, and yelling around racial slurs at that time was not good. Or yelling out, "I've got COVID," in the middle of the supermarket.
It's not great. Not great.
Or my tics would make me cough. Like I'd fake cough. So I'd just sit there in the supermarket going, and people were like,
You got such a good personality around it, which I love. Jade, do you get like sore? Like, do you get a sore neck and shoulders from moving and stuff? I'm like, they're big movements that you're making, and how does your body kind of recover?
It doesn't. It's hard to like. I've gotten a massage to try and help the pain once, but they said like long term, this isn't really going to help unless you did this all the time.
Okay.
Because you're just going to hurt. You're just going to keep doing it. So you can't solve that really. So it does get painful. Like it's a lot of muscle movements, a lot of tensing. So my muscles are just constantly very sore.
Yeah, I never thought of that before.
Yeah,
it's one of the I guess.
I punch things a lot now. I've gotten a lot worse at it in the past couple months, but I'll start punching stuff. I almost broke my hand a few weeks ago. Yeah,
I kept for glass.
A wooden table. I just kept punching it and I couldn't stop.
Is there something that when you do start becoming like a danger to yourself in that sense, like hurting yourself, is there something that can be done? Do you want something to be done? Are you happy with what's going on?
It's hard. See, these sometimes like people, it's a big thing on communication with this is because it depends like on the time as well. Like this day might be different from the other day. So I usually tell people, don't restrain me unless I ask you. I have occasionally, like I did tell someone to like just hold my arm so I stop hitting it, please. But sometimes holding it makes it worse. Like that's during tic attacks. I can't hold my tics back during tic attacks when all my tics come out. And if someone restrains me during then, which people do try to do because my tics tend to be more violent. So people will try and restrain you and it just makes it longer and worse and it doesn't help it. It just kind of bottles it up.
That's why your story is bloody important, you know what I mean? Because educating the society, but also people that might potentially have Tourette's. Love it.
Mm. Jade, for you, you've had your first tics at 14,
Shut up.
diagnosed at 18, now 19. So it's been like a year of diagnosis. Was it a scary? Were you happy? Were you scared when you actually got finally diagnosed with Tourette's? Was it a relief? Were you like it all made sense? Did it make you more worried? How did you feel?
Kind of relieved, kind of not. It was good to have an answer, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I think we'd gone so long questioning, like, what was it? We thought it was medication that I was on for a start. Possibly. We didn't understand it. So it was good to finally have, like, okay, this is what it is. We know that now, at least. Now when people ask, why are you doing that? I can actually give them an answer. Because before it would be like, oh, why did you just, like, twitch? And I'm like, I don't know. So now it's good. But the only issue was, I think, getting diagnosed was like, oh, crap. Because I was like, there's no cure for this. So now I know I've got it for life. So I was kind of hoping that I wouldn't get diagnosed with it, because then there was a hope that it would go away more.
How did your friends and family take it? Have they been supportive through the process?
Yeah, they've all been amazing. I think it was very confusing for everyone at first, because I'd suppressed it in for a few months. So a lot of people didn't know what was happening. So I suppressed it in for as long as I could because I was embarrassed by it. But then I think when it got to the point where I couldn't anymore, it got too much. And then that's when people were like, okay, what's happening? Everyone was very confused. I didn't understand it.
I did say at the start, and with Ryan's episode as well, you won't be censored in this episode. Your voice is your own, and we'll keep it as is, as it should be. But do you think with your swearing tics, can you understand why parents might want to pick their young, impressionable kids' ears away from you at the time? Do you find, trying to say, like, are you okay with the fact, like, oh yeah, I'm swearing, you probably don't want your kids to hear it, so it's okay if you take your kids away?
This sort of stuff, I completely understand. Like, if you've got kids in the car, they'll probably be very confused. So, like, that I get completely. Like,
yeah, because I wonder, because as a parent, you probably might be going, oh, I understand you got Tourette's, but I don't want my kid at the age of 3 to be going around saying the F word.
For sure, but what about in public though? Like, that's BS. If Jade's just trying to live your life and she's constantly getting people pulled away, it makes it hard for you as well.
I've had it occasionally, but not usually.
Yeah.
Like, I've never had anyone make a fuss about that with kids. I've just had them kind of move away.
Good.
Yeah.
Which that I'm fine with. Like, it's not like they're asking me to move away. So
yeah, and it's also
like, if you don't want your kid to be around the swearing, I get it. Just you're free to move away if you want to.
Now, we did come across you, Jade, and we're so grateful that we did because of the article around the flight that you weren't allowed on. Now, the airline says the issue was a medical one and it made the decision with your safety in mind. That was their quote directly. How did you feel when you were told that?
It was kind of bullshit. It was because it wasn't. They're saying it's got nothing to do with the Tourette's, but the medical event that they're claiming as a medical event was the Tourette's.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to. It's like, I don't really understand that.
Yeah.
Bitch, I'll spit on you. Fuck. Yeah, we're still working with them trying to sort this out, but currently I'm still not allowed to fly without any escort. Bitch.
I got on a plane last year, Jade, and it was a bit windy, and they had to use an elevator to get me on the plane because I'm in a wheelchair. And they told me, "Oh, it's too windy. It's like you're actually a danger to yourself and the other passengers if you come on." And they left me there, and they tried to make me pay for another hotel and get on a different plane. Like, and it wasn't. How was I dangerous by being in a wheelchair to other passengers? You know what I mean? And how when you heard that, I mean, I was effing gutted. How did you feel when they said that to you?
Wow, I was just annoyed that because they never really tried to talk to me, so they were just assuming. And I knew that they were just assuming because they didn't have any information at all to go off. So they weren't trying to understand the situation. They just kind of did that. So I was like, how do you know it's a medical event? You didn't ask me.
Exactly.
So do you make the crew aware of your Tourette's before a flight?
I do. And the thing is, like, honestly, it probably would have been better if I didn't, apparently, because telling them I've got Tourette's has put a big red flag next to my name. So that was probably a dumb idea to do that because you don't actually need to inform them of Tourette's.
Oh,
It's not
right.
required.
Yeah, but I guess, some of
But I
those
usually do.
tics, when we talk about Tourette's and our limited knowledge on it, but, it's still some knowledge. It's when, like the Black Lives Matter thing, when you're trying to not say something is usually the thing that comes out is sort of what we're learning. So when you're,
Yeah,
on a
airport
flight,
bad.
airports are bad, bombs,
Yeah.
right? So it's like one of those things I thought you would want to be telling air crew staff, airlines is, hey,
Yeah.
I'm coming. If I do say bomb, it's because I've got Tourette's. Please, be a bit more understanding.
Yeah, and that's what I do every time. I've always gone up to the front desk and been like, "Hey, got Tourette's. Like, I don't want there to be any issues."
Yeah.
And usually they're really like I've never had an issue with like the crew or the staff. Like they've always usually been pretty good. Like they
So
just like
The
usually
big dogs, the grey-haired
"Hey,
nomads
let's
in
back
desks.
the back of the plane. They'll put me on first."
Yep.
What about when you have flown in the past? How do you go with other passengers? Because obviously in the plane, everyone's pretty close together.
Yeah, let's say I sit next to you. You're in 13D. I'm in 13E. Do you tap me on the leg and say, hey, guess what?
Yeah, I'd be like, "Hey, I've got Tourette's, by the way. Sorry if I swear at you." That's usually what I would do.
Mhm.
And I'll tell the people usually in the seat in front of me because sometimes I'll hit the seat in
Yep.
front of me.
Oh, yep.
And most people are
Like-
pretty accommodating.
Yeah, most people don't mind like if I hit the seat every
Good.
now and again. They're like, "Okay, no worries." I'm like,
But also, who doesn't
Yeah,
have
I've never really-
noise-cancelling headphones or something as
Yeah,
well?
just whatever. It's just whatever. Exactly.
Of course.
Fuck, "You're a cunt."
So
a cunt.
what about social media for you and social networking? You said that, it's all kind of changed this year. What are you excited about in the future and where this platform's going to be taking you? I mean, what were your aspirations maybe before TikTok? And what are your aspirations now? Things have changed.
Oh, my aspirations before TikTok were pretty different. I used to want to join the army, but I couldn't do that after I got Tourette's. So
Oh, you can't be in the army with Tourette's?
now I kind of. Oh well, no, I don't think with you can. There are some people, but not with how severe mine is.
Oh, and handling a firearm, I
don't
guess,
think
would
that
make
would be-
sense.
Yeah, I think I'd be fine with that, but it's just, yeah, I don't think it would be.
Yep.
But now
I
you're
don't think I'd be able to do it.
now you're bloody an entertaining superstar. So
Mm.
you don't need the army anymore. You're just going on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to make this like a job. I mean, it kind of is now. but
Yeah.
I want to continue it and I'll grow.
I was going to ask that. I hope you're making bank out of these TikTok because you deserve it. You know what I mean? Going on a platform and educating about disability is not you don't have to do it just because you're disabled. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
So hopefully you are getting remunerated. And what do you see it leading to? Like TV show, Netflix series? Like what are you thinking?
Oh, I'd love to do a TV show. I think we're like it's possible. It could happen, but they'll be really fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like to keep making videos and doing this because I just enjoy it.
I also think there's a guy in Australia, right? He's like TV royalty. His name's Graham Kennedy.
Wow.
And
Bitch.
Graham Kennedy used to have this TV show where he would do an anti-ad. So what he would do is he'd get like
I've seen it.
he'd get like a Vegemite can, and he would say, "This is the worst thing you can put on toast." And Vegemite would soar in sales because it was an anti-ad.
Yeah.
I think there's really something amazing opportunity for you to get products, hold it up, get paid for it, and say just, whatever your tics and your Tourette's say about it. I think that would be...
It would kill.
It would kill. Imagine if Disney came to you and said, hey,
that would dominate.
The
Let's do it."
Mandalorian's a new TV show. We want you to watch it and review it. That would go bananas.
You'd get 20 million views on that.
But people are too scared about
Take a risk.
to take a risk to go, maybe this isn't what we need. I just think people need to open their eyes to how amazing that content would be produced by you.
Yeah, it would be pretty funny.
It'd be awesome.
Bitch, you're a bitch.
Now, before we let you go, Jade, there is a
Yeah.
TikTok that I saw. It's hilarious.
Suck my dick.
Everyone needs to
Yeah.
go check out your TikTok, Jade O'Connell. Now, one of your videos is reacting to celebrity photos. Now, do you have a phone near you at all, or are you using the phone for this Zoom?
I do have. a
Okay,
phone.
great. So you look up celebrities' photos of them, and then you just say your first reactions to them. So you've done like Dr. Phil, Justin Bieber, all of this stuff. Very funny.
Very good gear.
Now, can I get you to Google?
Stole it off my friend Evie's. It was her idea.
Yeah, it's genius. Can I get you to Google Dylan Alcott and just tell us what your tics think about the great man?
DYLANALCOTT.
Oh no, I didn't hear that. Hang on, Dylan. What?
ALCOTT. Dylan spelled with a Y.
Ah, cunt.
Agreed.
Ah, you cripple. Fuck off. Stand up, cunt. Fuck. Oh, sorry.
That's going to be our promo.
Oh, they couldn't have asked for more. Jade, we are so great that we can share in
you
your
are
humor.
a legend. Keep being yourself.
Yeah.
All right? Any dickhead online that gives you a hard time, tell him to ship off, all right? Because you're a star and you're going to be a star for a long time.
Did I fucking ask? Fuck, thank you.
Jade O'Connell, get her on TikTok. Make sure you're following her on all the social networks. Get her before she booms into another stratosphere. Thank you so much for your time. All the way in New Zealand. We appreciate it. And thanks for being on ListenABLE. Thank you.
See you, Jade. You bloody legend. That was awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you. That was so cool.
We'll release all the stuff on Monday and we'll tag you and everything so you'll know when it's coming out. You're the best.
Chuck it up on your TikTok if you like it.
Thanks, Jade.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
See ya.
See you later.
Bye.